Narayana. Raja Dasharatha has the sankalpa to make Bhagwan Rama the next king of Ayodhya. He approaches Rishi Vashishta with his sankalpa that he should become the next Yuvaraj. And these are the words that Rishi Vashishta replies to Raja Dasharatha with. Sudina sumangalu tabahi jabe ramau hohi jubaraju. Raja Dasharatha is asking for the place for Bhagwan Rama to become the king. Rishi Vashishta says, when Bhagwan Rama becomes the king, that will be the right place. Such a beautiful comparison in how they're approaching this. Raja Dasharatha is waiting for the right place. He's focusing on that. Rishi Vashishta is looking at the right person. He's focusing on that. Sanatana Dharma, Bhagavad Gita, is training. It is training in vision. And if you think of vision, it has nothing to do with place. It has everything to do with person. Nothing to do with context. All to do with content. Today, someone had shared with me that they don't want to study Bhagavad Gita because it's in, where is Bhagavad Gita found? In what scripture? Mahabharata. And if I have to study Mahabharata, that means I have to bring it home. And what happens in the Mahabharata? Families fight. Now you tell me which family doesn't already fight, Mahabharata or not, isn't it? Where there are people, where there's Dvaita, there will be fighting. Conversely, it is Mahabharata, it's Bhagavad Gita that reconciles those fights. Mahabharata ended happily ever after. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ended happily ever after. Training in vision. Last week, I hammered the details of what Karma Yoga means, and that it is not a casual affair. On Tuesdays, after we finish at 9:30, I have a meeting that goes up until 10:30. And so last week, I'm going to pause here. Is everything clear or everything is breaking? Okay. We'll try to make this smoother. Can you all turn your cameras off, please? Thank you. So now I'm totally relying on the chat room. I'm going to keep on speaking unless you tell me otherwise. So in this meeting, after I had just hammered the details of what Karma Yoga is, one of our sevakas was saying that after you shared thoughts on what Karma Yoga is, that my cheeks were very red. That he was burning up hearing, how full-time an affair Karma Yoga is. But that same sevaka said he was grateful for the hammering and not insulted by the hammering. Karma Yoga is not a casual affair. Karma Yoga is what will lead to Jnana Yoga, so it requires our full attention, our full application. And ignorance is not an excuse to not follow one's responsibilities, to not follow Karma Yoga. Ignorance is not excusable. And if you make ignorance an excuse, if you justify this, all that's happening is that your ego has tricked you into selfishness. So be vigilant about if you're making excuses not to follow dharma. That's that ego that is so stealth and is pushed nishkama down into sakama. For us to really get into karma yoga, we have to remember that it is simple and we make it difficult, and this is worthwhile. Right now, as we study holistic development through Hanuman Chalisa, I chanted a part of a chopai that says, Hotana Agnya Binu Pesare, which means Hanumanji is the greeter to Bhagwan Rama's abode. He's also the guard to Bhagwan Rama's abode, which means he's asking people to come. And once people come, he doesn't allow them to leave without permission. And really, anyone who meets Bhagwan Rama, how can they leave? And if you look at this subjectively, once you have a taste of satsang, seva, sadhana, you can never turn back from that. You cannot go back to living in a life that's revolving around pleasure, possession, position. You know when we need to remember this the most? Sunday mornings. Especially if you live in a place where there's snow. Sunday mornings when you have to heat up your car and you have to get to the school or to the ashram and there's several hundred kids that are running around and asking you questions. It is simple being there, and it is difficult. But when you go home, isn't it worthwhile to see all of those people who have learned, all of those people who are laughing? Don't just remember it on Sunday morning. Remember it in every interaction that you engage in. I now move to section 3.7 and section 3.8. And if it's 3.7 and 3.8, then naturally I'm focusing on chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavan Krishna is the best guide. And what do I mean by that? He's guiding us through a path that doesn't have light. This is the unknown path to us, the path inside. And he's walking with this light, and every once in a while when he knows that we're scared, every once in a while when he knows that we may turn back, he brings that light closer to us. He shines it and points at it. He puts it near his face so we can see him too. In a secular way, it's like showing someone that carrot. Okay? Work, work, work. Oh, here's the carrot. Work, work, work. You get distracted. Here's the carrot. In chapter 3 and so many other chapters, Bhagavan Krishna keeps bringing to the forefront the nature of someone who follows karma yoga, the nature of someone who follows bhakti and jnana yoga. That they are free. And when we read about people who are free, it re-inspires us to try to be the same way. Now, to understand a master, we often have to understand a slave first. In Sanskrit, there's a very powerful saying, Yavat praptavyam asti, tavat kartavyam asti. Yavat praptavyam asti, which means as long as there's something to be gained, tavat kartavyam asti, so long there's something to be done. If you want to gain, something has to be done. If you don't want to gain, nothing needs to be done. In our lives, what is it that we're trying to engage in, prapti-wise? All day we're trying to get something, isn't it? Trying to get respect, trying to get recognition, trying to get influence, trying to get a promotion, trying to get comfort, trying to get pleasure. So much prapti, so there's so much karma that comes with it. Karma prapti, karma prapti, karma prapti. That's what sangata is. Being stuck being trapped in this habit that we're in. It is endless. If we can shift our prapti from vastu to shuddhi, that I do want to gain, but not that which is material. I want to gain that which is within. That is shuddhi, purity. That shuddhi will evolve to jnana. The more pure I am, the more I learn. And what does jnana evolve to? Moksha. With real vidya, all that comes with it is all freedom. All comes with it. Shuddha, jnana, moksha. That's also praptavyam. But once you have this gain, there is nothing else to be gained. It is called kritakritya. Once you fulfill this responsibility, there are no more responsibilities to be fulfilled. And the important part here is it's not outside of you, it is inside of you. Shuddhi is inside of you. Jnana is also inside of you. Moksha definitely is inside of you. And so, an understanding related to Karma Yoga is we must work. And last week we studied what work and why work. And this is going to lead to infinity, so it's not casual. This is full-time training and vision. Now, as we think about these thirsts for prapti, the reading says very nicely, when our prapti is not for shuddhi, what do we work for? We work for gain. Why do we work? Because we want to gain something. Another reason we work is we want to avoid losing something. If you just eat but don't exercise, what will you lose? Health, no? So we work for food, that's gain. We work to avoid loss, health. And what is also being shared here is we work because we're attached. We're attached to worrying. We're attached to recognition. You try one day to do nothing. It's just that attachment that will make us check our email or call this person. And at a light level, it's habit. How difficult it is just to sit still and do nothing. When we sit still and do nothing, all we're thinking about is, what can I be doing right now? I should have brought a book. I should have brought my phone. I should plan what I'm going to do. See how disruptive those vasanas and attachment are. Prapti. But our prapti, what we're trying to gain, must be different. A master is someone who is independent of all that is external, so no external prapti, also independent of all that is internal. No internal prapti either. Someone who's free, do they look or pursue moksha? The only people pursuing peace are the ones who are not peaceful. But if you're peaceful, then you don't pursue peace. That's who a master is. Someone who's broken free from being driven by vasanas, driven by attachment, driven by habit. Such a master is actually beyond Atma and Brahma also. Now you have to understand this. What does the word Atma mean? That which is closest. It's still in terms of space, no? What does Brahma mean? That which is all-pervading or that which is farthest. That's still in terms of space. But if you're completely independent of external and internal, then even Atma and Brahma are still indicators. That's why we use the word Paramatma, Parabrahma. You can't use Paramatma. But that's showing that it's even beyond this idea of closeness. Even beyond the idea of farness. A master is life. All else is living. The master is life. We may see them engaging in whatever verbs, but that's just from our perspective. And a simple example related to this. Waves have these crests and these troughs, right? That's from the perspective of me. That's the perspective from the wave. That even may be the perspective from the ocean. But from the perspective of the water, is there any waves? Is there an ocean? Which is why Nisargadatta Maharaj says, there is only life. There is no one who lives a life. Awesome. Being. I mentioned we are awareness, not the film. I mentioned we are existence, not the yugas. Putting this in a different framework to understand a master, every being that is created with 5 rinas, 5 debts. We have a debt to nature's forces, we have a debt to nature's beings, we have a debt to society, we have a debt to our families, and we have a debt to our rishis, our guides, pancharinas. Because we're always taking from them. Did we take from the sun today? Did we take from worms today? From the military today? From our parents who taught us how to cook? Our rishis who wrote commentaries on Hanuman Chalisa? Didn't we take from them? And if you get, your dharma is to give. But for someone who's a master, they're not getting anymore. What can you give to infinity? Correct? They're the only ones who have completed their pancharinas. They are no longer in debt. So we may be mortgage free, but there's still debt that's on us till there is moksha. It is moksha from rina that we're aspiring to do. When one is fulfilled, they fulfilled karma yoga, they have nothing to gain, and so they have nothing to lose. That person becomes the most dynamic and devoted giver to every part of creation. Because they become the same as Ishvara. Ishvara is the one who governs. Ishvara is the one who nourishes. So we use the word master, but they are the same as Ishvara. And how did this all start? By taking karma yoga carefully. By being vigilant in what you're doing, why you're doing this. All you have to do is get on the escalator. Once you're on the escalator will take you to the top. We shift to sections 3.9 and 3.10. Our masters should be our murtis. Our masters should be our idols. When I say idol, what do you think of? American Idol, correct? And we call it American Idol, and it's a singer. I think it's just singing, right? It's not dancing or anything, correct? That's what our American Idol is. Our murtis, our idols, should be our masters. And I don't know if you read this line, but I've never read it before, and I was contemplating on the beauty of this statement. Idols have feet of clay. Idols have feet of clay. Once you try to move hardened clay, what happens to that idol? It breaks. That's our story. Every one of us is so sattvic when we sleep. Every one of us is so sattvic in our contemplation room. But as soon as we meet another person, our spouse, our neighbor, the person driving next to us, all of a sudden that idol, it's broken, no? Maybe we have the wrong murtis, the wrong idols. And that's why a master, because a master is someone who's not just a master in a specific space and time and matter, but a master working with people. Isn't that the most difficult part of your day? Working with people. That's what we should aspire to not be shaken by. Our masters are like trainers. And not just our masters, people are trainers. When you go to the gym and you have a trainer, that trainer is hard on you, correct? Do this, don't do this. Why are you like that? Work harder. People are like that too. They test us, right? How come you're not like this? Why did you do this? They're constantly training us. And we go to gyms and pay people for that training. Here you get it for free. And I was thinking about the gymnasium that Swami Chinmaya created for all of us. See, when you have to work in a sacred organization, people train you even harder. Because the relationships are not as black and white. It's not like this. The relationships are this way. There's not a hierarchy. Going to the gym is something that is precious. We've been given this gymnasium where you have to move that altar. You have to sit here for 2.5 hours of satsang. You have to drive me home. That's an opportunity. Not about me, but about working with people. The great are not great for other people. They're great for the sake of greatness. They're great because that is their dharma. When we think of greatness, it's so other people can look at us. So we have more followers on social media. But real greatness is independent. We often say, dharmo rakshati, rakshitaha. Great people are those who follow dharma, those people who share dharma. See how independent karma yoga is. How independent we must practice, how independent we must be. When we have such a vision of our lives about what greatness is, that's called inspiration. It is not external. Motivation is external, it's dependent. Inspiration is internal, it is independent. So why should we be great? Not for other people. We should be great because it's the right way to live. The best ideal, the best idol is Bhagwan. And I've referenced in many of my talks, which icon of Brahman has the most relationships? Bhagwan Krishna, no? He has multiple sets of parents, multiple sets of spouses, multiple sets of cousins. He has so many relationships. And so who should we learn relationship management from? Bhagwan Krishna. Who should we learn karma yoga from? Hanumanji. When you look at people who are not masters, they teach us how to be good, but we're not talking about being good. We're talking about greatness. We're talking about being the best. If you study section 3.9, Swami Tejomayananda has very beautifully analyzed why Bhagwan is the best icon, the best idol when it comes to working with people. He looks at this from many perspectives. Try to read that. Bhagwan is the best in thought, word, and action. Bhagwan's the best at speaking. Gita Acharya. Bhagwan is the best in acting. You see Bhagwan Rama. Eka Patni, Eka Vachani, Eka Bani. He was completely focused. And Bhagwan is the best in thinking also. Where we don't understand a circumstance, Bhagwan does. Such as when Yudhishthira asks Bhagwan Krishna on how to become a king, who does he send Yudhishthira to? Bhishma. When Bhagwan Rama is trying to learn how to be a king, who does he go to? Ravana. The same person that kidnapped his wife, he goes to Ravana because Ravana was a king. Teach me how to be a king. Best in thinking also. Bhagwan never escaped being with people. Think about Bhagwan Rama. He went to the forest to be with more people, correct? Bhagwan Krishna went from being a foster child to being a king. That's very unlike us. We're always trying to escape people. I need my alone time, or I drink, or I go to another extreme. You do drugs. That way you're there, but you're not there. But then we're missing out on the training, correct? We're missing out on applying this vision in all that we do. Bhagwan Krishna, in this context, followed what it means to be the best. And all of those beings who were sensitive enough followed the way he lived. When we have that level of sensitivity, we change who our role models are. And those sensitive people, in this case, it was Prince Arjuna, right? Nakula did not follow Bhagwan Krishna like Prince Arjuna did. He had that sensitivity that there's more to him, there's more to life. How to work with people is a great expression of someone who follows Karma Yoga. And here, there's a section that is in 3.10 where Swami Tejramananda analyzes sattvic leadership. He analyzes how we can work with people in an inspired way. And he says there's 3 ways that you and I can work with people in a karma yoga way. To work with people in a virtue development way. And these are those 3 ways. Number 1, a leader, someone who has Bhagwan as an icon, is someone who has to have clarity of purpose. So number 1, clarity of purpose. And specifically what comes out in chapter 3, the purpose should be loka sangraha. It should be to help people. I had mentioned that last week. When people ask you, what do you want to be or what do you want to do? Say help people. Loka sangraha. If clarity of purpose is there, what will naturally also be there? Clarity of path. This is the purpose. What naturally reveals itself? The path reveals itself too. So there has to be clarity of path. And the way to get to Loka Sangraha is Karma Yoga. What to do, why to do, if done well, will lead us to our benefit and others' benefit. Remember I said that's what Nitya Karma is. You win and other people win too. So clarity of purpose, clarity of path, and what do you think the third clarity is? Clarity of action is like clarity of path. Clarity of people. Clarity of people. See, if you're walking this path, you're probably not by yourself, in satsang or in a study group and so on. And if you're focusing on Loka Sangraha, if you want to help people, you need help from people. So here I love one statement that Swami Tejramananda made when he was teaching us, and it's not written in the Bhagavad Gita course. He says to bend people. In other words, to inspire them, to get them engaged in Karma Yoga. That's what Bhagwan Krishna is trying to get Prince Arjuna to do, correct? To bend people, what do you have to do first? Blend with people. Blend with people, then you can bend people. But if you don't blend with people, you cannot bend them. So blend them means be with them. Understand their hopes, understand their fears. Instead of preaching, practicing. It is when I read such materials, it's when I get to think of such materials, that my inspiration stays high on the need to create our Chinmaya Leadership Foundation. I've talked to many of you about this, that I hope in our new ashram in Pittsburgh that the culmination of this ashram will be, like we have a Chinmaya International Foundation in Velianad, Kerala, where they focus on research. We should have a Chinmaya Leadership Foundation in North America, where the focus is this: clarity of purpose, clarity of path, clarity of people. Oh.